haven't achieved a breakthrough. They didn't last very long. But I guess the good news is that they are going to continue.
Well, I think the good news actually are coming from the fact that everyone um in Europe and United States actually understands how important it is to go through all security details that might come if the war is over. I'm currently in Davos, and this week was quite an interesting week in Davos. I've been here for many times. It was always a place where capitalists discussed business, but this year actually security was one of the main topics, and I believe this is an important progress.
Tell me about the situation in Kiev and Kharkiv last night, because we've seen footage and clearly a huge bombardment once again from Russia. Many people will look at the footage we're looking at now and wonder how talks can be constructive.
This is really surreal. I don't know how these talks can be constructive when all big cities of Ukraine have no water and electricity, including Kiev. And my family, I have 3-year-old daughter. She is now in Kiev with my mom, and they didn't have a single moment of electricity during this day. And also, half of the day there was no water. The weather is quite harsh still. It's minus 15 degrees, and the night was really bad because Kiev was targeted by massive attack, and it was impossible to sleep during this night. I'm saying it with relatively calm words just because we got used to it. This is our reality. But of course, I really want to have this crazy reality to be different one day. This is not how we should live under inhuman conditions when there is no electricity, no water. It's very close to humanitarian catastrophe. And I think the world understands now, and even Trump understands that now.
Yeah, the fourth winter now that Ukraine has been at war with Russia. Do you think that it is damaging morale in Ukraine to be hitting the energy infrastructure, to make people cold, to cut their electricity, their water? Are they now losing faith and wanting an end to all of this? Or are they hardening against President Putin as a result?
You know, we in Ukraine, we don't have hope. We don't really have faith. We do have a purpose and understanding that we have to stand on the moral ground for justice. I want to remind you that around 10 years ago, we also had our revolution for dignity when in minus 20, it was a winter on fire. We were defending the values and our freedom to choose not to be with Russia. And we continue doing it. And unfortunately, this winter is very cold again. And yes, this is very hard to live under such circumstances. But I think our resilience didn't come yesterday. It was preparing us for many years, including previous generations when Ukrainians were always the victims of the Russian imperialism. So we know where we stand. We know that we stay on our land, on our soil, and this is our truth, and no one can take it away from us.
Yesterday, we heard from a Kremlin spokesman who was saying ahead of these talks that Russia is going to stick to its terms, and we know territory is the sticking point. Where do you see these talks going, if they can go anywhere, on that tricky situation about the Donbass?
At this stage, I don't see how we Ukrainians can accept any concessions on the territory. But President Zelensky and our official position is that we might have a referendum one day that we will ask our people what we really think about that if it's needed. But according to all the polls that are available, Ukrainians are not ready to give up the part of the territory just because no one believes that Putin will stop. people don't believe that long term Russia will not invade again. We believe that Putin just wants to have a break, to be more prepared, maybe to show that he's capable of the ceasefire. But in fact, he doesn't want to end the war, because this imperialistic thinking of the Putin's mind and many Russians actually is never ending. And unfortunately, this is the truth we have to acknowledge, and we have to focus on actually killing that Russian imperialism, that it doesn't continue tomorrow.
OK, Lisa Yasko, MP, we really appreciate your thoughts.